All right. Hello, risers, and welcome to another episode of Rising with Christian. I hope that y'all have been having a wonderful summer slash fall. It's been a while, and we are kicking back up our new season. And I'm so happy to have my dear sister, Miracle Hallman, with me today.
Hey.
Miracle.
Hi, Christian.
Hello. I'm so happy to have her, y'all. She is truly amazing. Miracle is a clinical social worker. She is a mental wellness motivator. She is an empowerer of women. Breaker of generational curses and trauma. She truly has an amazing platform. She's fearless, and I really wanted you to come on here and to empower our women around the topic of the empowered woman. How does that title even make you feel? The empowered woman.
It gave me chills just now when you said it. To be honest, I love it. I love it. Being an empowered woman is it's
Yeah.
no easy feat, but we all have it. We all have that ability. Yeah.
We all have it. We all have it. So we are going to get right into it. I would love to just start with your story. So I know you went to Howard. That's where you and I met.
Yes.
And you also went to get your master's. So just walk us through this journey of obtaining your degree and what you were wishing to accomplish with that.
So, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here. You're doing wonderful, wonderful work. So I appreciate you inviting me.
Thank
Um, so I did go to Howard 2 times. Got my bachelor's in psychology, my master's in social work,
you.
and I've always been someone who loved to kind of figure out how to make people better, right, including myself. So I always wondered, like, why do people do the things that they do, um, and just learning more about how we tick. And
Mhm.
so in getting my social work degree, that was a huge piece, right, of learning the aspects of human beings, right, including my bachelor's degree as well, psychology, right. But
Mhm.
so I got my master's, and I've worked in different settings. I've worked with children, I've worked with veterans, I've worked with women, I've worked with uh, government relations, and just
Mhm.
all types of backgrounds, and understanding, that we all have a lot more in common than we do that separates us. And I think
Mhm.
is something that I really, really drive in my messages, is that, we may come from different backgrounds, but
Mhm.
something I really wanted to get a grasp on was understanding um, social, how we are socially and how we interact with one another, but also how we deal with ourselves. So that
Mhm.
started with getting my master's degree in social work.
Mm. Now, when you were getting your master's degree, and let's even think about your first few years of practice, were
Mhm.
you also seeing maybe a therapist or unpacking things yourself as you were serving other people?
So that actually started a couple years after I got my degree.
Okay.
I definitely 100% believe everybody should at least one time talk to a therapist. I think on some level, you don't have to wait for something to be terribly wrong, right? You don't have to wait for some crisis to see a therapist. It's really important. And so by the time I started seeing a therapist for the first time, I had my degree already. And there
Mhm.
was a lot going on in my life at the time, in my relationship. And I was like, okay, at the time I felt like there was something wrong with me. And I'm like, okay, I need to understand what's going on so that I can make this work, and I can do what I need to do to better this situation. Right.
Mhm.
But that
Mhm.
was my thought process going into therapy. It's like, what is wrong with me? How do I fix
Mhm.
this? And it was that moment that I really had even more of an appreciation for the field of social work, because as a clinician, I'm
Mhm.
sitting in the office of a clinician, right?
Wow. Yeah.
This person was also a licensed clinical social work. We had the same credentials.
Mm.
That this person was able to shed light on things that I did not see at the time.
Mm.
And that's
Mhm.
something I
Mhm.
kind of used to beat myself up about because I'm like, how did I not see this? With what was going on in my life at the time. I'm a clinician. This is my field. How did I not know this? How did I
Mm.
not recognize this? But
Yeah.
that's also what pushed me to empower and enlighten and encourage other people. Because if I, in this field as a professional,
Mhm.
missed some of these things,
Mm.
certainly there are people who are not even aware at all of this field that could be missing them. So
Wow.
so I definitely have had a greater respect
Mhm.
for social workers because we are clinical therapists. We are
Mhm.
in all different type. We're in Congress. We're in prison systems. We're in schools. We're in hospitals. But it was in those times where I first started going to therapy that I realized, oh,
Wow.
this person is changing me for the better.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So that is so interesting. And I think that we should pause there for a moment because you mentioned as a woman, you started to feel like something was wrong with you,
Oh, yeah.
right? So for other women who are watching, we're natural nurturers, we're
Yeah.
natural problem solvers. What did
Mm.
you learn in that journey, through that reflection that was able to allow you to break away from the shackles of having to show up to be a certain person or to cater to something or a situation that isn't necessarily helping you? Like
Right.
what was it? What were the aha moments that you had as you were unpacking that?
Yes, that's a great question. And one of the biggest things, and people who follow me or know my platform know that I use this word a lot. It's now become my favorite word, and it's
Mhm.
boundaries.
Mm.
Boundaries. But in fact, when I was in therapy at the time, my therapist recommended a book called Boundaries because I came in there thinking that I wasn't the problem with boundaries. I'm like, this person, they just let anything happen and they're da 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 da.
Mhm.
She looked at me dead in the face and said, you need help with your boundaries. And I'm like,
How
well,
dare you say that?
me? And this is again another reason why it's so important for us to be open to therapy sometimes because it takes an unbiased person to just
Mhm.
listen to the whole situation
Yeah.
and they're able to identify things in you that you
Mhm.
may have projected onto someone else. And
Mhm.
granted, that other person might have had an issue with boundaries for sure. But
Mhm.
never did it cross my mind that maybe I also have issues with setting boundaries. I
Wow.
didn't do them. And
Wow.
so the aha moment for me was that you mean to tell me I I don't have to deal with this? Like you mean to tell me like I this person's feelings are not my fault? You mean to tell me that my feelings are not dependent upon someone's validation of them? Like, you
Mhm.
have to learn where you end and where someone else begins. And
Mm.
in those moments and those days, I learned how to separate myself. First, I had to figure out, okay, who am I in this situation? What am I really responsible for?
Mhm.
I'm not
Mhm.
responsible for this person treating me a certain way. And a lot of women, especially a lot of people in general,
Mhm.
I used to speak directly to women all the time, but now I speak more generally because we all kind of face some of the same issues, right? Especially with
Absolutely.
boundaries and things like that.
Mhm.
But but sometimes we'll take on other people's stuff and make it our
Mhm.
own,
How do
which
we how do we stop doing that? Because I'm at a point now where I realize it's been a couple years where I've been putting other things or people in front of my own desires. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah,
And so I had this aha moment, and I was, like you said, I wasn't privy to it. It took an outside force to be like, hey, you are not living for yourself. You are not. So what does it take for a person to be empowered to change their situation, to change their environment, to dare to change their mindset. What does those first steps look like? And maybe you can even share your story, or, I mean, I know you're a professional, but what does it look like? Okay, I want to change. I've been this way for quite some time. I want to set boundaries. I want to show up different, but I don't know how to.
Yeah. First is the awareness of it. First, you have to recognize and be comfortable with even saying to yourself, this doesn't feel good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us are so used to feeling uncomfortable and brushing it off because someone else feels comfortable, right? But
Mm-hmm.
when you finally are able to say, ouch, I don't like that, I'm going to say something. You then have to look at what are the next steps for me to not feel this way. You have to get uncomfortable and recognize and acknowledge your discomfort, right? Because you can't heal what you don't reveal. And if you're uncomfortable and you remain uncomfortable, and you're not saying anything, certainly other people around you are not going to say anything. No one's going to
Mm-hmm.
speak. No one's going to come save you. You have to save yourself. And, for me personally, it took my daughter to put me in a position to where I'm like, oh, absolutely not. I'm not
Mm,
going to sit in discomfort and teach her that this is okay.
that's
I
good. You
can't.
found your motivation.
I found that motivation because um, around that time, I was still going to my therapist and she was giving me these books to read. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, there's a word for this? How did I not?
Come on.
What, like gaslighting? That this is like, there were so many things that I was unaware
Wow.
of, like I said, as a clinician. And these things are not
Mhm.
necessarily discussed all of the time. You have so much that you're learning in grad school, so much that you're, applying, but some of the stuff doesn't, is not taught and it doesn't stick. So when you're
Mhm.
experiencing it, it's like, what is this feeling? It doesn't feel good, but you're like,
Mhm.
I don't know what it is. So
Mhm.
once I had my daughter, I was like, okay, God,
Mhm.
like, what do I do?
Wow.
And that for me was the push I needed to set
Mhm.
healthy boundaries in every aspect of my life, in every relationship of my life. You will
Mhm.
not. I had to like muster some of that what you won't do. You know what I mean?
Come on.
Because
Right.
I've never been used to telling people how I feel and then holding them to a boundary. Like you
Let's
don't get
stop
to.
there. That's
Okay.
good because you said you weren't used to this voice. You weren't used
Yeah.
to. Right, right. And for those who listening, this is applicable to friendships, to your boss, to your neighbor, to
Mhm.
a friend, to a spouse, to a boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever, right?
Yeah.
So this whole boundary setting is applicable to literally every area of your life. How did you begin to have the bravery to speak your truth, to open your mouth? Because I struggled with that up until recently. And I'm like, oh, well, let me not say anything. And then it really just makes the situation worse. Like how did you one day say, I am going to use my voice and I am going to express my truth?
You know what? Once you do it one time, for me, I'll speak for myself. Once I did it one time, right? And
Mhm.
I saw the reaction,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this really does work.
Mm.
Like when you start to use your voice, people are less likely to violate you in a way that they did before. Not
Mhm.
saying they won't ever, because you can't, some people,
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But when you change, the people around you change how they interact with you.
Mm.
And it's
Really?
hard. It's hard when you're not used to it for
Yeah.
whatever reason, however you were brought up or whatever. But for whatever reason, you're not used to standing up for yourself or having a voice or saying no. You have to practice it.
You have to practice.
It takes practice. And the more you do it, the more you'll do it. And the more comfortable you'll get. And then you get to a point where you're like, oh, absolutely, I won't go back there.
That is,
No,
the more you do it, the more you do it. Like, that is,
exactly.
it's like building a new muscle, and when you have that muscle memory of standing up for yourself, and you don't have to, like, go neck rolling. Now, sometimes you may have to go
Right.
there, but
Right.
it's situational, but just, "No, I don't wanna do this," or, "No, I'm not going to take this," or, "No, this is a salary that I'm wanting to negotiate," or, "No, this is how I need to be treated in the relationship," like, whatever it
Mhm.
is,
Absolutely. All of the above.
speak it.
And what people I think don't expect is
Mhm.
when you start to do that, you're then for people who are used to manipulating you and used to
Mhm.
you doing whatever they want, you become problematic for them. So
Mm.
so be prepared for anybody who is interested in trying to go down this road of setting boundaries, healthy boundaries. Also
Mhm.
know that the people that you have been around that are not used to you doing that
Mhm.
may see you as difficult. They may
Mm.
paint you as difficult, but that's okay
Yeah.
because as long as you were convenient for them or
Mhm.
easy for them, you were fine.
Wow. The empowered woman. You are empowering today. I wanna talk about embracing the new you, right? So,
Yeah,
because there's some times where you've been this person for so long, and look in the mirror, this is who you are, and then there comes a season in your life where you're like, "I am changing. I don't even know who I may be becoming." Maybe you have an idea of who she is or who this evolution is, but, like, how do you handle the bravery of embracing the new you, which is sometimes scary? Or, it's like, sometimes I can imagine using your voice is like wearing these heels and you're a little child, and you may, like, stumble, you may fall, you may be afraid, like, oh my, people pleasing, all those things. But how do you stand with boldness
yeah.
with the evolution of self, which can sometimes be
That
scary?
analogy. I love that heel analogy. It is like that. And
Yeah.
I think the bravery comes from you focusing on you.
Hmm.
Like when you are able to focus on what your needs are, you don't care what anybody else has to say. You don't care because listen, once you get in your mind and you know people are going to talk regardless,
Yes.
whether you say something or not, because if you don't say anything, it's, oh, she's not going to say anything.
Hmm.
We're gonna do what we want. Or it's, oh, she's not going to let you do that. Da, da, da. So you might as well do what best fits you.
Hmm.
And so once you are able to, I think, um, focus on your own needs and what it is that you want to do. You have a goal in mind of who you want to become.
Hmm.
Everything else is secondary.
Hmm.
And again, the more you do it, the more you do it. And also realizing that really nobody knows what they're doing for real. Like none of us really know.
Yeah.
So, everybody is changing every day.
Hmm.
But you know that the changes you are making are for your sanity, for your mental health, for your
Hmm.
purpose. You have confidence in that.
Mm. That's really good. And
Yeah.
I know some of the way that we are wired is from generational. It's not always trauma. Trauma is part of it, but our generations pass down good things as well. But if
Mhm.
if there's things generationally that we want to break away from, how does one begin that process of acknowledging it and then doing something about it without feeling like they have to, like, neglect their past, or who helped bring them up, and those influences?
So let me first say this. Sometimes
Mhm.
this might be a controversial opinion, but
You
I'm
can
gonna say
say it.
it.
You can say it.
Sometimes it is necessary to leave certain people behind for
Wow.
your growth.
Wow. Ooh, let me sit
You
back.
you may be able to deal with them, but on a very limited type of basis.
Mhm. Mhm.
So part of breaking generational curses or healing generational trauma is learning when enough is enough. So if there's a family member who has
Mhm.
always been critical always been negative. Any good thing that you have going on, this they're breaking it, picking it apart. It's perfectly fine to say, you know what? Here's the boundary. I
Mhm.
want to discuss this with you. And perhaps you're not at the point where you're going to completely cut them off, but understanding that when I speak to this person, these are the parameters. This is what we're discussing. We're not
Mhm.
discussing my business. We're not discussing my relationship. We're not discussing XYZ.
Mhm.
Set that boundary.
Mhm.
But as far as the generational trauma, some of it, a lot of it is trauma. Like let's just call it what it is. A lot of it
Yeah.
is trauma, but you don't have to penalize anyone. It really is more so about ourselves. I
Mm.
learned this behavior that didn't serve me well, so I'm just going to unlearn it. And
Mhm.
if the parent or the grandparent, the uncle or whomever that passed that down to me is not respectful of this change that I'm making, I'm gonna have to make some changes in how I interact with them.
Mm.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
good. Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
I think the thing that my mom told me when I was growing up, when my seasons and of people were shifting, is that people are seasonal.
Yes.
Um, and sometimes I'm even learning now that you do have to set boundaries, even if they're blood, even if it's in your,
Almost especially, almost
especially,
especially when they're because yeah, there's
yeah.
an entitlement there sometimes.
Mhm. But there comes I believe, a grieving period,
Yeah.
right? When you have to let go. So what does or what did healing look like for you? You realized that, you wanted more from your environment. You need to set boundaries. You started to speak up more. What does or did healing look like? And I know it's a journey. I know that it's different from each person, but how does the healing process begin?
It's a beautiful mess, first of all.
Mhm.
It is a beautiful mess. It's almost like reverse engineering. Like you wanna see how something works, you break it apart, and you look at all the parts, and you see, "Okay, this is what does this, and this is what makes this turn on, and this," and
Mhm.
you have to break it open. Look at all of it, which means looking at the parenting that you received or didn't receive, looking at the environment that you grew up in, looking at how your parents might have interacted with each other and how that gave you your perception of love and relation, looking at everything.
Mhm.
And then again, having that third party is very important, I believe, have to help unpack that
Yeah.
because you need to know what abuse or what codependency or all of that, what that looks like, so that you can unlearn
Mm.
that behavior. So for me, when I first started going to therapy because of what was going on at the time, that led me to this whole reverse engineering process. It's like, okay, how did I get here?
Mm.
In this situation with this type of person or with these type of people, how did I allow this to happen?
Mm.
What is it about me, self-awareness, that attracted this or enabled this or accepted this?
Mm.
Where did
Mhm.
I learn this? So you have to first be open to reverse engineering, opening up yourself, breaking down yourself, holding a mirror up to yourself. This is how I've interacted with friends. This is how I've interacted with in my relationships. This is how I've interacted at work. This is what did not work. Where did I learn this?
Yeah. Yeah. Which is important to talk about it because sometimes you're on autopilot and you don't have it's easier to see. I did a sermon before and I was saying how we spend hours each day looking at other people, right? But we
Yes.
only spend, I think it was like an average of maybe 17 minutes looking at yourself. So that's like in the morning, you may go to the bathroom throughout the day, you're in and out, but you are looking at everyone else. And so it's harder to do that inner reflection of self because we are
Mhm.
not trained as a society to pause, to think. And so I love how you were saying that you have to relearn and have the boldness to have those conversations because sometimes it's
Yeah,
hard.
it is.
It's-
It's not easy. And people aren't always receptive to that because they may
yeah.
not be in the same place on their
Mhm.
journey. So you
Mhm.
have to just know that this is definitely a solo journey. It's between you
Yeah.
and God, really, and
Mhm.
your therapist, right? Because you can't really rely on family or friends to relate to what you're going through. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? All the
Yeah.
time. And
Yeah.
especially if it's an inside job, which it is. Being empowered, being bold, and healing certain things is an inside job.
Mm.
No relationship is going to fix it or hide it because everything's going to come out, right?
Mhm.
Nothing is
Mhm.
going to fix that except your willingness to have that introspective
Yeah.
moment.
That's so good. And that introspective moment allows for boldness. And that's what I've been praying. I've been praying for, because I'm journeying on this journey of ministry where I'm like the only woman, the only Black woman. And it can sometimes you have to find that I am here. God has called me. I am gifted. I am called. So how does one walk in that boldness? Like, how do you pull from that well and show up? Because I know your goal with your platform is to have empowered women who are bold. How
Yes.
does one grow in that boldness?
Well, first, I feel like people need to give themselves credit. So
Mm.
we're so often looking at what the next thing is, what the next accomplishment is, or what the next task is, that we're not focusing on what we've done.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
first thing is look at your track record.
That's
You ha-
good.
you have you are successful already. And I think for a lot of people, when you look at what you've done, if you have to write it down and say, I've done this, I've done that. I don't care if it's I got out of the bed this morning when I didn't feel like it. I fed my baby this morning. I went to work. I did this when I was tired. I started this business, or I just thought of a name for this. Wherever you
Yeah.
are,
Yes.
give yourself celebrate the small wins, because if you're
Mhm.
not doing that, of course you don't have anything to pull from. You're just like just here doing something. I don't know what I'm doing. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
do. You've been doing it. The difference is nobody's told you. And
Mm.
so many times we focus on the validation of other people.
Yeah.
What are they saying I'm doing a good job? Or how many likes did I get? Or how many shares did I get? Or how many
Mm.
people did this? And how many the outside gratification and validation is what drives so many people. And we're basing our worth off of that. When truth be told, there are a lot of people that are sitting and watching and enjoying what we're doing and learning from what we're doing and won't say,
Mhm.
they won't say
Mhm.
for whatever.
Mhm.
Maybe they're jealous, dare I say, or
Mhm.
maybe they're just not in a place where they feel comfortable enough to say that I resonated with me.
Yeah.
Whatever the case is, if we are focused on external validation, we
Mhm.
we can't continue. We can't use that continuously to pull from, because we
Yeah,
might not get it. So you have to trust yourself
that's good.
and trust your track record.
Mhm.
Always bet on you.
That is so good. Now, I will be real transparent. So I was at a conference the other day, and when you say you have to like trust yourself, trust your track record, and trust the guy who has called you. So
Mhm.
long story short, I'm there. We all have to get evaluated, and they gave me an evaluation. Um, and it wasn't even bad, but I was so reliant on their evaluation and what they said about me versus God was saying, Christian, but I've been called you. I already gifted you. And
Mhm.
so I want to validate you. I want to motivate you. I want to encourage you. I don't care what the piece of paper says. I know who I created you to be. And so
Mhm.
after I had that moment, bawled out crying in front of them, never cry in person. Nothing against it, just not me. I said,
Yeah.
God is breaking me down so that He can build me up. He validates me, right? And so I think it's so important, women, whether they're in corporate America or whether they're teachers, like we have to stop dimming our lights. We have to stop silencing our voices. We have to stop hiding our intellect and our bravery and our like black girl magic, white girl magic, whatever magic, like we have it. So I
Mhm.
think this boldness is what I want. I want to see women who are confident, who are bold. And I know that it's a journey, but with people like you, they'll get there.
Telling you, I cannot express it enough. Like if I can get to a space where
Hmm.
I am in right now,
Yeah.
where I feel empowered and that I want to share it with it, anybody can do it. You're looking at somebody who, come on, like I was born a preemie. I was fighting from
Mm,
the beginning, told
Jesus.
that I wouldn't be able to learn like a normal child. I've
Wow.
been underestimated all of my life. I've had
Mm,
surgery on my eyes and my ears and all kinds of things.
wow.
But what the enemy meant for evil, God meant for good.
God meant for good.
So whatever you have in your story to pull from, you're a survivor, period. And
Mm,
nobody can tell a story like you can. So the
right.
reason we rely on other people to tell us who we are, that
Mm,
comes from,
that's the enemy. Yeah.
it ain't real.
That's not of God. And I even, as you talk about the track record, some people probably really cannot pull on their track record. Like when whoever's watching this, listening to this, like find 2 minutes and write down your track record. Like
Mhm.
remind yourself of where you've come from, what you've accomplished, what you have overcome, and use that as your foundation to continue to walk into this newness that I believe God is wanting the women to walk into. So that is encouraging. That's really encouraging. So when you wake up every day, or when you're doing your videos and all this editing, which takes time, Lord knows. What's your motivation? The empowered woman. Why do you do what you do? I mean, because you can just focus on you and your journey and your healing, but why do you wake up every day saying, I need to empower another person?
Because I know what it feels like to not have that empowerment. I
Mm,
know what it feels like to not have a person there to encourage me to keep going. I know what it feels like because everybody is trying to pretend like they got it together, right?
mm,
Nobody's saying, "Man, I went through this divorce and custody and I was down and blah 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 blah." Blah. Like nobody's sharing the
yeah.
reality of the situation. And so my goal is always to inspire and encourage people to get up from there. Get up from
Mm,
there.
yeah.
Here's what you need to know. This is these, I provide education on some of my videos, right? Because again, me being a clinician and being unaware of some of the things that I had gone through in the past, it
Hmm.
was important for me to then share that education. But also it's the empowerment for me. Like
Mm,
know that just because something may have gone wrong or something did not go according to plan, trouble does not last always. And so
mm,
there's to every victory that people want to share, there was a valley experience. And
mhm.
to me, I've always been authentic. I'm a real
Yeah.
transparent person, you know that. And
Yes.
I don't it just really bothers me sometimes when people present all of these solutions. Oh, you want to lose weight? Look at me. I'm skinny. Like, no, show me
Mm,
a picture when you were like 400 pounds. Like
mhm,
motivate me to know like that what I'm feeling, validate what I feel now.
mm,
Validate what I'm feeling now, and then show me how you got to where you are. Don't just show me the top. Like that's great too,
yeah.
but I need the full thing. And so what motivates me to do that is every person that sends me a message
Mm,
that tells me how it's helped them. Every person that sends me a message with an experience similar to what I'm talking about. How do I how did you do it? I've had people send me messages. How did you do this? And I
mm,
tell them that is the motivation for me. It's seeing other people recognize their strength. And
yeah. That is so amazing. And you just never know, right, who's watching, who needs to hear it. Because I do believe, like, I mean, social media, a lot of people say that it's bad, but it's also good. And you have to like discern what you're listening to and what you're taking into your spirit. So people like you, the content is very consistent. You're very transparent. And so people know, okay, if I follow her, I will get that. Social media is definitely one platform.
Mhm.
Are there any books out there that you read? Was there a person that you follow that you were motivated by? Was there maybe a podcast that you listened to? I know you mentioned earlier a book about
Yeah.
boundaries, and I'll have to find that author and put it in the show notes. But were there any other resources that you use to become this empowered woman?
Yeah, so another book that I read early on in my therapy days was, in addition to the Boundaries, it's called Boundaries. I wish I could
Mhm.
remember the author, but it's called
Yeah.
Boundaries. Other book is called Codependent No More.
Ooh,
Codependent No More.
that's good.
Um, Both of those I was reading simultaneously at the time.
Mhm, mhm,
And it really put words to what I was experiencing at that time in my life. So
mm,
it definitely helped catapult me to this like person that I am. Because
mm. That's
because I
good.
validated like, oh, this is what this is, and this is not healthy. Okay,
Mm.
it's not. So let me change that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is good, and I love reading, so I will definitely look both of those up for Audible. Do you, like, listen to it, or are you,
Yes,
like, a
I love Audible. No, though
Okay.
back then I had those books. I didn't have Audible at that time.
Okay, okay, yeah.
I definitely have Audible now. I'm reading Viola Davis's book now, so
Oh yes, yes, that's on my list, that's on
yes,
my
yes,
list. She is
girl.
totally an empowered woman.
Yes,
Um,
indeed.
she's great. So as it relates to, the empowered woman, if you just had to just throw out a lot of affirmations for someone to just listen to, what comes to mind for you?
So it's so funny. I don't know if you saw the video I did with my daughter when I was having her do affirmations, and
No, I'm
someone.
off social.
Oh, that's right. You haven't been on. Okay, okay. Well, this is something that I do teach my daughter to do every day, and some of the
Mm,
things that I tell her and that we say together are, I am capable.
wow.
I am strong.
I am
I am
strong.
beautiful.
I
I
am
am
beautiful.
amazing.
I'm
And
amazing.
but I'm capable is a huge one because we doubt ourselves so often.
Yes.
Imposter syndrome, very
Mhm,
real.
mhm.
So
Is
yeah,
that a woman thing? Like, are women more prone to imposter syndrome? Because
probably. I don't know. That's not a clinical statistic. I don't know for sure.
yeah,
Um, but at least we're more vocal about it. I
we're more
think,
vocal.
yeah,
Mm,
we're more,
that's good.
we acknowledge that more, I think, than men do. But yeah,
Got it.
I'm sure they experience it. But
Yeah, yeah, I don't know, but I am capable. That's
I am
powerful.
capable. I'll share affirmation that I say to myself every day.
Mm,
Um, I'm healthy. I am wealthy. I am enlightened and empowered. My past was a blessing. My past was a lesson. My
mm,
present is a blessing. My future is created by my thoughts today. Today, I will choose to think about blank.
mm.
You put in that space what
Wow.
what you're going to fill your mind with that day.
I
And
like
actually,
that.
I think I skipped a line. It's I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am at peace, I am enlightened and empowered. I
Mm,
attract only what is meant for my highest good. My past was a lesson. My present is a blessing. My future is created by my thoughts today. Today, I choose to think about blank.
wow. We have to, like, cut that and just play that because oh, that is so powerful. Even my therapist said, like, speak over your day, speak
Mhm,
over your mindset. If you feel yourself going down an alley, like reverse it and say, no, we're not going there. But to just
mhm,
really just make your day that sacred,
mhm.
that is so amazing. So
Yeah.
whether you want to adopt what she just said, I'm not sure if she would share with others, but make it your own. You
Make
know
it
what you're
your
going
own.
through. You know what you need. You know
Mhm.
what you desire to wake up to every day. And I just encourage everyone, whether it's a one worder or one liner, just do it and just begin to build that new mental elasticity. That's so empowering.
Yes,
Wow.
absolutely.
What a ministry. Wow. Well, I can't believe that we are at the end, but I know that there are some people who want to continue to stay connected to your amazing ministry. I know your website just dropped, so share all
Yeah.
your social and your website so we can stay connected.
So I am Miss Miracle Monet on Instagram. So that's MS Miracle Miracle Monet Monet. That's my Instagram. My website and my company is Inspirations. So the website is www.m-spirations.com. And that is where you'll find all the information about me and the services I provide. And so I will see y'all there.
Yes. And you also got to name your TikTok and your website URL.
Oh, so my TikTok is also Miss Miracle Monet. That is my TikTok also. I haven't been on there lately, but that is on there. And then, so yeah, my website is www.m-spirations.com.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, this has been a blessing. I end well, first of all, I have so many nuggets from this. Like I was trying to like type on my phone. I was like, Christian, put your phone down. Like just put your phone down, be present. But you gave so many nuggets. And I just want to thank you for your transparency, your honesty, and your clinical wisdom. You are a practitioner, but you are so down to earth. You're so relatable, and I know that you are changing so many lives. And so, I end every session with this question: how can you empower the listeners to rise? What is one thing, one quote, one word that you want to empower them to rise this week with?
That's a good question. Empower them to rise. Geez. I have so many things. It's one I got to narrow it down. You were created for a reason. Trust that you are on the right path and just keep going. Don't let anybody speak fear into your plans.
Amen. 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 I claim that and I receive that for everyone who is listening. May you be encouraged. May you be empowered to be that empowered woman. Go ahead and follow my dear sister on social. Go to her website, sign up for everything. And until next time, risers, be blessed because the world is waiting for you to rise. Love y'all. Thank you, Miracle. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rising with Christian podcast. There is someone you know who could be blessed by this episode, so share it with a friend, be a blessing, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. All right, guys, have a wonderful week, and don't forget to rise today because your future is now.